Do you have a deadline in mind, because you're going to have to address running back if he's not going to be back, to know what he's going to do?
No, there's no deadline on an injury. You just got to get the information and make a decision. You know, hopefully sooner than later, but you know, it's nothing we can really control.
Seems like playing in Oakland is all but done. Does that put a smile on your face a little bit?
Yeah. I'm anxious when it gets official. You'd like to know where you're playing, but I know it's been a tough process, and hopefully it's all official soon.
Are you guys going to exercise the fifth-year option on Carl?
I hope so. Yeah, I'll let Michael talk about that later, but it appears that way, yes.
John, when you're evaluating offensive linemen, how important is arm length and things like that, the measurables?
It is important. You know, it doesn't mean that, you know, long arms are the only way to go, but you know, using your arms and hands and pass protection is a big part of winning. These defensive players, you know, they're tough to block. So having a little length is always key. Yeah, no worries.
John, you offered up without prompting that you met with two quarterbacks. Is that a message to the rest of the league that, you know?
No, I don't know. People try to read between the lines. Some guy asked me a question at the Senior Bowl about Kyler Murray, and all of a sudden, I'm honest to God. Any Christmas. No,
there's no gamesmanship.
People can write whatever they want. No, there's no gamemanship here. No.
This might be a silly question, John, but do you ever worry about drafting players in the positions that you traded for a pick? So like swapping an Amari Cooper pick for a receiver.
No.
Added pressure there?
No, sir.
What's the key to get these players to open up in a 15-minute interview to really get a sense of who they are?
Yeah, you know, you have a lot of people in the room. It's a pretty interesting environment for a young guy to walk into. You have the general manager, the coordinator, the head coach, all the scouts, people leaning in on you, peppering you with questions. We have video. Maybe he can explain a play or something that happened in a game. And just to see how they handle a barrage of questions is interesting. You also got to get some basic information from them. But it's a process that is unique because every interview is completely different. And you try to keep them off balance. You see, these guys are trained. You know, they know what questions, they think they know what questions you're going to ask. So I try to think deep about something to get these guys on.
You take pride in that, throwing a guy off of his training course?
No, I want to find out when their pro workout day is going to be and when I can go out there and see them privately. And I like to learn. Just try to listen and learn. And to me, that's the best way to gather information. Be a good listener and give these guys an opportunity to express themselves, what makes them tick.
So you have to address the middle linebacker spot. And what do you think of the options available to you, especially in this draft?
Well, we're looking at the options in free agency and in the draft. Nobody really plays a pure middle linebacker in college football anymore. I mean, it's a spread offense that you're dealing with for the most part. So you have to use your imagination, and you have to project some guys into that role. So it's a tough exercise. There's a good one at LSU. There's a good one at Michigan. There's a kid at Florida I like named Joseph, but hopefully some more guys will emerge here in the next couple of months.
What are your thoughts about show Hard Knocks and possibly being subject to?
I appreciate Matt Patricia, my friend, offering that up to me. But with that beard that Patricia has, he's going to be a star. I mean, he's going to be one of the future television stars. I'd be surprised if Monday Night Football doesn't put him upstairs in the future. Patricia's going to do a great job. Yeah.
On Hard Knocks.
Yeah, on Hard Knocks.
Spending all the time that you did with players at the Senior Bowl help you out here at the Combine?
You know what? You have a list of about 60 guys you can interview. And, you know, 25 or 30 of those guys might be from the Senior Bowl. But since we coached them for a week, we don't have to interview those guys. So it really deepens, I think, the scope of our process. And it's been very, very helpful. Some of those kids at the Senior Bowl, we moved up on our board. We know they can play. We know they can learn. We know they fit our system. Some of those players we moved down on our board. So that was a great, valuable experience. And there's always good players there.
More important to see them do live game
No
instead
doubt.
of doing drills on the
Get a
field.
chance to see them in the meeting room. You know, who's sitting up here? Who likes football? Who's paying attention? Who can make corrections? And who's physical? You know, who likes to practice? You get a lot of you get to learn a lot about their habits as well as their performance.
What do you make of the edge rushers in this class?
Well, interesting. You know, the Bosa kid at Ohio State is a great player when he plays. Obviously, missed a lot of the season this year, so you got to go back and watch him. But when he plays great. Some interesting guys at Clemson. There's a couple of interesting guys across the board. Josh Allen's a good player. Gary's a good player. Who's the best of those guys? We got to yet determine that.
Is that when people look at your sack total from last year and say that has to be your biggest need? Would you agree with that?
Biggest need is, you know, we got some needs at every position, and you know, a pass rush is it's not just about the defensive line. You know, we got to cover longer, got to cover better, make the quarterback hold it. And we had some guys that got to get the quarterback on the ground. You know, we got there, we just didn't put the man on the ground. But pass rush is a collective effort, and we need to look at every avenue to get better.
Mike mentioned he can't wait to see Oliver's numbers as far as measurables and the speed. What are your thoughts on him and kind of a different kind of player?
Another guy that didn't play a lot this year, for whatever reason. We got to learn about that. Where's number 10? Strange number for a defensive tackle. Got to learn about that. Why are you wearing that number? Yeah, Gary's wearing 3. What the hell's wrong with your guys' numbers? You guys look like DBs up there playing. But yeah, we'll find more from Oliver when we meet him and learn about his situation. But when he plays good.
I don't think this would qualify as tampering. The Steelers said 3 teams reached out for Brown. Are you guys one of them?
Don't know. Don't have any comment on any of that. Not allowed to, and not going to take the cheese on that.
I didn't think a yes or no qualified.
Here's a little.
I know what you're trying to do. That's why you only come around once in a while.
With quarterbacks in this draft, they drive so much activity in the first rounder. Are you guys keeping an eye on which teams do you think may want to jump up, and how that would affect the rest of the draft board? Is that something that you guys are monitoring in terms of maybe a team that wants to jump above you? You know, how quarterbacks could manipulate where players
We're
fall?
just looking at the talent level of every guy, you know, and I'm not going to stir up any speculation. You have to do your due diligence, and you better do your due diligence on the quarterback position, whether you have one or don't. And, you know, whether it drives the draft or, you know, whether there's games to be played, I don't know. All I know is, you know, we're going to look at the free agent quarterbacks. You know, we're going to look at the quarterbacks that are available in the draft, and we're going to continue to study and work and rank everybody at every position.
Mayock said yesterday that, you know, appropriately, that this roster has more needs than he can really begin to count. How do you balance getting this defense to working order while also surrounding Derek with the help that he needs on offense? How do you achieve both in the same offseason?
Well, you just don't rush greatness. I learned that a long time ago. You know, you don't rush the process. You look at what you have to spend. You look at what available picks we have. You consider all the issues, and you do the best you can. And I'm excited about Mayock big time because I think he's a hard worker. I think he's got a great imagination, and I think he's a great recruiter. And look, we got to do our part. We got to develop our players. That's coaching. Players that are on our roster, our second-year players, got to show improvement. But to answer your question, we just got to be patient, and we just got to do right with what we have.
You talked about building the right way. What does that mean to you as this offseason really begins in full?
Well, you just, you know, obviously, you've heard it before, you draft and develop. You know, you got to draft good players, you got to develop them. And sometimes that takes a couple years. Just because you draft a good player doesn't mean he's going to go to the Pro Bowl and be the Rookie of the Year. You got to develop a core nucleus of players. You got to be smart with the salary cap. And you got to build around your system. Hopefully we can keep our coaching staff together for a few years and allow these guys to develop. But
Two more guys.
It's a difficult process.
Are you guys still deciding on A.J. McCarron as far as the money and the number he's at, or is that still is that a box you guys have already checked already as far as?
Well, I like McCarron. You know, I think McCarron's a really good quarterback, and we expect him back. I'm not going to get into all the financial part of it. But.
You guys are in a unique situation as a California team where in another year you guys are scheduled to go from a state with 0 state income taxes as opposed to now where you're in the state with the highest. What does that do? Are there benefits to that? Do you think that could work in your favor in free agency as you structure contracts?
Yeah, it works in your favor in hiring coaches too. You know, I mean, you know, look, California. I love California. Who doesn't love California? But yeah, I mean, there are advantages certainly to that. But it's also, you know, it's exciting, man. When you go to Las Vegas, you can't deny that the stadium they're building is one of the coolest things I've seen in my lifetime. And this Oakland Raider brand, the Las Vegas Raider brand, is, to me, as good as there is in all the sports. And to be a part of it is something that really fires me up.